So did you start having to call the service at when you first came into New York, or how? Help us out a little bit, or Sean, I'll let you ask
Yeah, that's
questions on
good.
this,
That's
the
exactly
service
where I was
aspect.
going. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think what I will say is that I personally define service very broadly because the thing that I realized when I came to New York, I was working for the city, and I just met so many people. You know, my supervisor at the time, the commissioner, et cetera, were really, really brilliant people. People who had terminal degrees in the law, or in some cases, working in economic development agencies. Someone might have a PhD in economics or a psychology degree. So these are really smart people who could have been in the private sector making a great deal more money, but they were really committed to working in the public sector. So when I talk about service, for me personally, it's not just about doing volunteer work, but it also includes working in the public sector or non-for-profit, particularly when you have a certain skill set and background that would allow you to go into the private sector and make more money. So I don't want to negate people's work and contribution in those ways. So for me, when you study urban planning, there definitely are consulting firms and things like that. But the bulk of an urban planning career is by definition working for city, state, or federal government. You're basically looking at, the thing I love about it is a very holistic degree. So you're looking at housing policy and economic development policy, transportation, taxation, how all these things work together to inform the urban environment. And at the time when I was looking to go to graduate school, the urban planning master's programs forced you to sort of pick one area, transportation, housing, what have you. And I literally could not pick because I'm a generalist at heart, and so I couldn't wrap my.
So right. So just to kind of frame this a little bit, because we're always short on time here,
Absolutely.
is that you thought about service being in the public sector, using your skill base, eyes wide open, that you would perhaps accept less monetary sum than going into the private sector. Now fast forward, you're a real estate broker as well, and a successful one at that. So tell us a little bit about, like, what charities are you involved in now, and how did you get on? I believe you're on the board of a charity, and how does that work? And how, like, tell us about that service.
Sure. So I just will say one quick thing going back. I did start volunteering. I want to say it was around 1993. The first group I volunteered for was the Gay and Lesbian Anti-Violence Project. I also volunteered for the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. And I at one point did freelance fundraising. And so I worked with a lot of LGBT organizations like Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund. So that allowed me to be in this milieu where I came to understand how not-for-profit organizations work and what they need and what they do. So, and then I went on to work at the New York Public Library and John Jay College of Criminal Justice. So I'm currently on the board of New York City's LGBT Center. I'm the co-chair of the nominating committee, and I work on this sort of a temporary group that works with the archives at the center, which I think is very important. I think anytime you have marginalized groups, it's really important for them to collect and capture their cultural patrimony, if you will, so that we can have that history. It's very important to me. And then I'm also on the Racial Equity Working Group, which is something I'm really, really excited about. And that's something we've just started on the board. The center itself the staff has been doing the racial equity work for about a year and a half now. And now it's a group on the board. And then the entire board is going to take up this work starting Saturday, actually.